Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, I know I'm happy to see a bit of sun after yesterday.
Yeah, it was quite a rainy day. I had to stop myself from complaining a bit because it's been a long time since we've had so much rain.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I think they're trying to make up for it now.
Yeah. But you know, like a true blessing after waking up to a wet Wednesday, this morning is just so beautiful. It's sunny, it's windy. You know, you're jealous of anybody who gets to go out and do a run or a walk right now because it's just the perfect weather for it.
Yeah. And of course, you know, when it's raining like yesterday, you don't even want to get out of bed.
Oh, I know. Or you just you're counting down the hours until you can get back in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, but we'll be finding out a bit about our weather in just a few, and we'll see if this is just temporary reprieve or if we have more rain coming. But we got our birthday shout out for today.
Yeah, and it's somebody who a lot of you guys might know.
Oh, yeah.
So we are wishing a very, very happy birthday to Chef Sean Quillen. From all of us here at Open Your Eyes and Channel 5, we are wishing him a great birthday. Hope he enjoys the day and hope that somebody cooks for him today.
I agree. I'm just thinking, man, you know, but if you're a friend of Sean's, you're probably thinking, but his cooking tastes better.
Yeah.
Sean, of course, you know, we hope you have a fantastic day and do enjoy. That comes from all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes. And we do want to remind our viewers, those of you at home, if you want to feature your loved one in a birthday shout out, go ahead and send us a message on our social media or send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Now, we're going to find out from Michelle what our weather is going to be like for today. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am fine, and you?
Not too bad. We were just commenting on how beautiful this morning is.
I know. Nice weather up here as well.
Ah, and you're about to clock off, so you might enjoy it?
Yes, I plan to.
All right, Michelle, tell us what's happening with our weather for today.
All right. For the general situation, we have a moderate easterly airflow, so it's a bit breezy this morning, and that will support generally fair conditions over most areas of the country.
Okay.
And that means we can expect sunny skies with cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Mm-hmm. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated, except for a few more over the south.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so dry for most of us.
Yes, that's right.
All right, and just tell us about the winds.
Winds, as I said earlier, will be from the east at about 10 to 20 knots.
Mm-hmm. And it's still safe to head out to the seas.
Yes, it is. Yes, we expect only choppy seas at this time.
All right. And what about our temperatures?
Temperatures will be, rising back again. I know yesterday was very cool.
Yeah.
Due to the cloud cover, but today we expect about 86 Fahrenheit along the coast, 92 Fahrenheit as we move inland, and about 81 Fahrenheit up in the hills.
Mm-hmm. And the extended forecast?
All right. For tomorrow, we expect pretty much same weather. Any shower thunderstorm activity will be confined mostly to the south. Mm-hmm. And then on Saturday, we see a slight increase in showers over most areas of the country. But by Sunday, we go back to mainly fair weather.
All right. So, and keeping an eye out in the tropics, is there anything we need to be monitoring at this time?
No, not at this time. However, we do have a broad area of low pressure, which is associated with the wave that gave us all this rain over the past couple of days. That is now over the Bay of Campeche, and it has formed an area of low pressure, a broad area of low pressure. But that is not expected to develop much further. There is some slight development expected, but it should be short-lived. And then it is expected to be absorbed by a cold front that is over the Gulf.
Did you say cold front, like coming down to Belize?
Unfortunately, not yet.
And jumped the gun, true?
Yeah, the system should interact with that front, and so the front is not expected to reach us.
All right, Michelle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that update.
All right, you're welcome.
Have a great day today.
You too, thanks.
All right. There you have it.
I know. I was getting really excited about that cold front.
I saw you. You jumped up from your seat a bit there.
Yep.
Yeah, we want our Belizean fall. Unfortunately, that just means rainfall for us.
Yep.
All right, and we're going to get moving into our show for today.
Yeah, our first segment is going to be really interesting. We're going to be joined by representatives from the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, and they're going to talk to us about their SWOP, which is the State of the World Population, and the launch and the activities that they are going to be doing.
That's right. The second part of our show, Belize Estate and Company, they're preparing for another auto show, which means they're going to have some great deals, and it's going to be a lot more accessible for you because they usually partner with a bank. So you're going to get the details of what cars are available, what are the new top models for the upcoming year, and we're going to get that in the second part of our show.
Yeah. And finally, we are going to be joined by Galen University, who is going to be here to talk about all of their new programs that they're going to be offering, in the upcoming academic years.
All right. So that's our lineup for today. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll get right into the show. So please stay tuned.
With over 1 In this season of KTV Latino, you can vote for your favorite contestant by using your Digiphone or your smartphone. Digi users will text only the contestant's number and send to 5888. Each text sent is equal to 1 vote, so text as many times as you want. Smart users will text the number of votes followed by a space, then the contestant's number and send to 5885. Here are this week's contestants.
No sé si vuelva a verte después, no sé.
Y nadie lo buscaba, y nadie lo planeó así.
Oh, mujeres tan divinas, no queda otro camino que adorarla.
No llega el olvido, y por más que intento, mi mente no te olvida.
Que gano con decir que un hombre cambió mi suerte. Se burlarán de mí, que nadie sepa mi sufrir.
Mujer tan bella y yo con una botella, me dejaré la fácil con la cara estella.
Remember, voting ends on Sunday at midnight. KTV Latino Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
KTV Latino.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. Joining us now are representatives from the UNFPA, or the United Nations Fund for Population Activities. And they're here to talk to us about the launch of the State of the World's Population. So joining us now is Joan Burke-Skeen, who is the Executive Director of BFLA. Also Tisa Grant, who is the Liaison Officer for the UNFPA in Belize, and also Dr. Natalia Beer, who is the Technical Advisor to the Ministry of Health. Good morning, ladies, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
So, 2019 is an especially significant year for the UNFPA because it's marks 50 years since its inception. So maybe we can start this morning's discussion talking a little bit about what the UNFPA is and what type of work they do.
Okay, so the reproductive health movement started in the 1960s, and that gave birth to family planning as a human right in 1968, the establishment of UNFPA in 1969. Now, UNFPA is the United Nations Population Fund. We are the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency. We work to deliver a world where every childbirth is safe, every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. So this year is especially exciting for us because we're celebrating 50 years. And we can measure the great progress that has happened since the establishment of the agency. But what we're celebrating even more is that this is the 25th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development, where the program of action was developed. 179 governments came together in 1994 and said that we have to give attention to population and development. So that was a very significant time for us. And so this year, we celebrate 25 years of achievements, but we're also taking stock of what needs to be done yet, and where we are at this point, and how do we re-energize governments and individuals and NGOs and the entire globe to look at the ICPD as a way of achieving the 2030 agenda.
If we reflect on Belize 25 years ago, I'm sure the reality of what the rights for women and for young girls, it was probably a lot different. We can all make a safe assumption. I want to ask just, what are some of the major achievements that has been made since the signing of that particular convention?
Well, I would want to defer to Dr. Bear as a national representative.
Sexual and reproductive health is very brought. And we use statistics to measure the achievements. And since 1994, when the conference happened and the program of action was developed, we can see that there is a 62% reduction in under 5 mortality rate.
Under 5?
Under 5.
Okay.
And there is 52% of neonatal mortality rate. You get those kind of results when women have the opportunity to adequately space their pregnancy, have access to services to prevent and to monitor pregnancy, to deal with the complications or potential complications early in pregnancy. Maternal mortality is another trace indicator. While we reduce from high mortality rates, more than 100, about 185 if I'm not mistaken, the highest we have recorded. We went as low as 15 or 1 year in 0. But what we are seeing now is a decrease in the obstetric causes and an increase in indirect causes, like
how do you differentiate
chronic diseases that affect the pregnancy, or the pregnancy get complicated because of these chronic diseases.
Okay.
So
like your hypertension and...
Yeah, direct causes is like hypertension during pregnancy, postpartum hemorrhage when a woman bleeds after delivery. And the non-communicable diseases that we're seeing that are affecting is cardiac disease. We have cases of multiple sclerosis. We have problems with stone, gallbladder, and you know these causes. In reality, the theory is if you have diabetes, it's not just get pregnant and it's okay. You need to control the diabetes to avoid the complications for the mom and for the child also. Same hypertension. We have a high rate of obesity. And we should lose weight before getting pregnant, but that doesn't happen. So I think there is great achievements. There is a larger number of health facilities. I think the government has been able to sustain the mobile clinics, visiting all villages every 2 months. Some goes every month. And what we need to do is to expand the number of doctors and nurses reaching to this community that doesn't have a health facility. But I think that is something very positive for the country. And in education, I think the provision of transportation for students from rural communities to the school is something to applaud.
Maternal mortality is very often used globally as a development indicator as well. It's very critical to know how many women die during or after childbirth, because it should be, in a developed country, a more seamless process. I always reflect on my mother, who said, you know, in her day, you saw delivering a baby or pregnancy like 1 foot on earth and 1 foot, I don't remember the exact phrase, but it was so delicate. If you were to reflect on today's situation, given the fact that you've had great reduction, but still fluctuations, what are some of the critical changes that are in the convention that we need to implement that will help us get to 0 and remain as close to that as possible?
That's a not easy question to answer, because the more we dive into the cases, you see the social determinants of health playing a heavy role. And this is not just in maternal mortality, in other health indicators that we have. like the mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Social determinants of health is so overwhelming for these women. So we struggle with having the adequate number of staff. We have hospitals that have about 50–60% of the midwives that we need to provide the services that we are providing. Nonetheless, we still have 24/7 41 hospitals that are providing childbirth attendance. So quality of healthcare and the human resources in health. That is huge for the Ministry of Health, for the country of Belize. We have our health system is a mix of public, private, and NGO, BFLA. So if we did not have private sector or NGO, it would be much harder. Because we do recognize the contribution from private sector. The proxy that we have is the vaccines, for example. And the vaccines is telling us that 33% of the services are provided by the private sector. And of course, families, women, men, they have a right to choose what provider. So we don't see ourselves competing with private sector or with BFLA, but rather complementing each other.
People go where they feel most comfortable.
And we have, for example, contraceptive methods. We treat it as a public good because it doesn't matter where the woman goes. She should have access to contraceptive without out-of-pocket payment. That's a barrier, no? If they have to be, they have to pay for this service.
And just, oh, sorry to cut you off, but I was just trying to, gonna piggyback off of Marlene's question, because we're also, we can talk about, the improvements in, resources and access, but another significant factor also is improvement in education and spreading awareness of, reproductive options and awareness of reproductive health. So have we also been seeing a change, reflecting society and mentality and how we educate our young people, especially because Belize has such a young population? Anybody can join in.
Let me just start, and then the colleagues can take on. When the ICPD came about, one of the significant things about it is that the whole subject of reproductive health, and it really placed human rights and individual well-being at the center of that. So what it did was it put into motion several things. It put into motion research in understanding people's behavior. It puts into motion education in terms of what is available to persons, to make available their choices. But it also puts into motion service delivery, making sure that there is a whole range of choices, especially where contraceptives are concerned. So I think over the years since then to now, a lot has changed. Even though we are still grappling with the comprehensiveness of sexuality education, whether in or out of school, the fact is it has come a long way. Doesn't mean that we don't have a long way to go yet. So I would want to defer to, again, now to Joan, because I think as one of the stronger NGO partners for the delivery of comprehensive sexuality education, both in and out of schools, I know she would have a lot to say on that.
Good morning. I want to go back to a little bit of history as to the birth of BFLA. In 1985, you had 5 women who became very concerned on the issue of adolescent pregnancy, particularly in the Stand Creek district. And at that time, once a girl became pregnant, she was not allowed to go back into the formal education system. Now, if we think about Stan Creek then, or Stan Creek Town, which is now Langriga Town, and we look back on the effects of Hurricane Hattie on that particular municipality, where you had a number of those who were in the productive and reproductive age migrated to the US because that municipality was affected by Hattie. So you had young kids were left in the care of probably a grandmother, a grand aunt, whilst the parents were in the US working to ensure that you had that weekly box or barrel or whatever along with the remittances. So here you have these young girls who being given cared for by an older person and pregnant, so that that support network wasn't there. So you had these 5 women who gave birth to BFLA. At that time, the conversation around sex and sexuality, particularly in the schools, was a no-no, and it wasn't something that was discussed in the homes either. So I always think back about the movie, maybe you might be too young, but Blue Lagoon, right? And I said we were in that Blue Lagoon age, so you just experiment. Moving forward, I want to say that we have come a long way, and it's, yes, our commitment to the 1994 challenge that was put forward to states, but also that networking that Dr. Baer spoke about. The BFLA, despite the many challenges, and we've had major challenges, because we work from a rights-based approach and we recognize the need for empowerment. That's the platform on which we do everything. And you're right in saying that in order for persons to make informed choices, they have to have the adequate information. Now, when we look at the mandatory age of being in school, which is 14, and when we look at the primary school curriculum and the deficiencies in discussing or teaching young kids about their bodies and the whole gamut of sex and sexuality. And when we look at those persons who will continue on to a secondary education, where we hope that when you reach secondary school, that information will be shared. You see that huge gap. So here we have a number of young persons, a significant number of young persons in a country where must be what? Over 50% of the country's population is very young. So we have all these young people out there who don't have the right information and basically who are now just experimenting. We have come a long way in terms of access to certain services, but the policies, they're not friendly. So it's almost like a risk, and so service providers are not comfortable in some instances, particularly in the public sector, because there's nothing to protect them should they decide to give whatever service a young person needs. When we look at the engagement of young people at the table, yes, we engage them, and we ensure that they're equipped with the information, but then the resources that they need to reach the young people, because young people don't listen to us, and we have to be
Yeah.
very cognizant of that. We don't speak the language that our young people speak. So then how do we engage that population of young persons who can then influence their peers? So for us at BFLE, we have the youth arm, we have comprehensive sexuality education, and I want to applaud the government for, at the last Universal Periodic Review, where one of the recommendations that BFLE made is for us as a country to use the UNESCO guidelines for the teaching, even if we don't want to call it comprehensive sexuality education, but ensure that the content, because for us, it doesn't matter what you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is important for us is the content and bringing the right people at the table. Because when you will have, like, for example, religious leaders who will say we cannot mention things like breast, penis, vagina in the classroom, then where else can we?
Yeah.
Right?
And that's a critical foundation of that type
It
of
is,
education.
because if we want to teach individual certain values and equip them for their reproductive life, then where do we start? So those are some of the when we look historically, right, where we are now.
You know, I think that that's such a critical point, and I wanted to ask you just that. I know there are certain sectors of the population who understand what sexual and reproductive health education may look like. But for the majority, we're uncertain. You know, if you never received this in school, you don't know what it entails. And when we saw the reaction to the HFLE curriculum, it was exactly that concern. You're teaching children how to go out and have sex, or that they should, or I know that it still is a perception that people have today. How do you explain to people what the education of a child about their sexual and reproductive health rights entail, and how it impacts their development as an adult? Who wants to take it?
I think we need to, one of my fears is that we're taking too long to deconstruct myths and taboos.
Yeah.
And we adults are not paying the bill. It's the young people who are paying the bill. If parents should reconsider and understand the magnitude of the problem,
Yeah.
being like, if we use as an example, if we are set out to go to war, and we send our soldiers without guns. That is what is happening with the young people. The guns for the young people is information, because we make decisions based on the knowledge that we have. So if they don't get timely and correct information, they will follow probably wrong information.
Yeah.
And make wrong decisions that not only the child will pay for, but the family and the country. So it's a great responsibility, but it's not only the parents, it's the entire system, meaning the children are at home, so the parents have their quota of responsibility. Children go to church, the religious leaders have their quota of responsibility also. And there are a myriad of information packaged within the biblical concepts that can be helpful to the health sector, the education sector, which is a golden opportunity that we need to revamp. And because if we left them without these sources of timely and correct information, they would go to social media or to their peers. And you find all kind of things there, good and bad. But how will they have the capacity to know, oh, that is wrong, because the correct concept for that X situation is what I know, what I was given. And a good example is the good touch, bad touch, which we teach young children. And we would never know how that basic information helped them later on.
Yeah.
So the information is basically about the anatomy, physiology of the body, hormones. We need to know what is happening in the body. I remember telling one of my 2 sons, why, if I could cut down or turn off the hormones, I would, but I can't. So we just need to deal with it. And that is happening, want or don't want. So the decisions are based on information. And the information, you need to have the knowledge to make those good decisions. So young people, they are crying for help. And maybe the way how we are delivering this information is not reaching to them in a timely manner.
That's actually a very valid point. If you recall from Tuesday's event, when we were talking to the young people on what's changed for the ICPD, what came out very strong in the discussions was, yes, we are getting information. Some of them are confirming that, but the information is not being translated to something that they can understand. One of the very key things about comprehensive sexuality education is that it has to be age appropriate. And so we cannot deny a person education, sexuality education, until they're 14, when we think they are old enough to understand. We must provide, you know, the information in increments from a very young age, because it's critical. It's a matter of social protection as well. If we don't talk to our young people, they are going to get the information from somewhere, because there is a wealth of information available to them. The thing is, how do they filter which is the right information and which is incorrect information? And so unless we take charge of providing the information to them in schools, but also first at home, by parents and by families, then we're going to miss the opportunity in allowing our young persons to achieve their full potential. They miss that information, they may end up with STIs, unwanted pregnancies, they drop out of school, you know, they become victims to sexual violence if we don't talk to them. It's urgent. This is why the whole ICPD program of action is called the unfinished business, because it is an unfinished business. And when Joan said earlier, you know, governments were challenged in 1994. We at UNFPA like to think that governments promised. You know, they came together and they said population and development issues are, it's important. And so they basically promised that these are the things that are going to be addressed for the betterment of people, for women and girls in particular. And so this year it's to say, okay, we need to cash in on that promise. We need to make good on that promise. We need to remind all those who came together to say we have to look at it again. And it's something that, as an agency, we are trying to champion, but it's not something that an agency can do alone. It requires a concerted effort. It requires governments. It requires civil society. It requires the communities, individuals, to be able to achieve this kind of success that we're hoping for.
You know, I like using the phrase unfinished business, because one of the things that's very clear is that while we can talk of the misconceptions and the myths that people have, we do have facts as well. And part of the facts that the country can face is looking at teenage pregnancy. We know, I mean, you can give us the exact numbers, but we know it still exists. We know the challenges that come along with it, not just for a young girl raising a child, but the poverty implications, the health implications. So let's talk about where we are with that, because I think that's a really good footing to say, okay, we really haven't finished, because this is what we're looking at.
But I just want to say, just before Dr. Bear, Belize, I think for the Caribbean, is probably our rate is second highest, where Guyana has the highest. And when we look at teen pregnancy, we have recognized and accepted that we have unacceptable rates of teen pregnancy in today's time, and we should not. So therefore, we have all these teen moms who have given birth, who first did not have the information. So now they are raising children and still don't have the information. So then, we and statistics have shown that when you have maybe a 13, 14, or 15-year-old who has given birth and has no family support, has no support from the society, and if that child is a girl child, by the time that girl child is about 14 or 15, she will be having her child. The cycle
continues.
Yeah. So you have now maybe a 20, 25-year-old grandmother, because her mother would have now been a grandmother, who still haven't finished having her lot. So you have mother and daughter having children together. So the cycle of poverty continues. And that's the reality in Belize. So even when we start talking about, okay, where or how do we introduce the whole issue of talking to children, or we start the comprehensive or sexuality education, and making it age appropriate, but also ensuring that we're talking to the realities of what these children face. Because we have families who basically are residing in a one-room home. And so our children are exposed to many, many things under those circumstances. And you find sometimes girls who find themselves in that situation, they want to get out of it so quickly. So you know what? The first person who comes and promise them the stars and the moon, they move out. And it continues. The UNICEF multi-cluster indicator, first we said, you know, we had no child brides in Belize.
Child brides?
Yes. The mix finally said, hey, listen, wake up from that dream.
So we still have child marriage in Belize?
Oh, that's another issue there.
Every marriage below 18 is a child marriage.
Every marriage below 18.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we have more of an issue of early unions than actual child marriage, but we do have child marriage.
What's the difference?
Child marriage is, well, just to put it into context, a person can get married at 16 years with parental consent. That is still considered, in our estimation, child marriage, because you're not yet an adult. So those are included in child marriage. But also there are some marriages being performed, particularly in rural areas, and the young persons believe themselves to be legally married until they later find out under different circumstances that they are not. But what we find more is that we have a lot of young people in unions, whether within their same age group or young people and older persons. And that is a concern as well, because it puts our young persons at risk. It means that, especially for girls, it means that they are likely not to finish school, they're likely to have early pregnancies, they're likely to experience gender-based violence. There's a whole slew of problems that come for our young girls because there is not a support system for them once they are somehow emancipated, although they're not really emancipated, right? So
is this just a rural problem?
No.
Because that's what we always think, right?
The statistics are showing that it's
more rural,
it's pretty much more or less the same urban and rural.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, yes, we can get into the discussion, oh, migration has done this to us, or whatever excuses. The fact remains, it exists, and what are we going to do about it? Because Okay, your child might not be a direct victim of that, but he or she is surrounded.
Yeah.
Probably it's her little friend
Yeah.
who is a victim. I remember working with a particular education institution, and it was the males who asked or expressed the concern of their female counterparts, because they were the ones who said to us they would all start the program at the start of the school year, but by the life of the program, more than 50% of their female classmates would have to discontinue because of pregnancy.
Okay.
And this came from the boys asking us, what can we do?
So how do we counter the issue of teenage pregnancy? We're in 2019. What?
Yeah. The evidence on brain development is now pointing that adolescence is not up to 19, it's up to 25. So that makes it more challenging because it's 5 birth cohorts added to what we think is adolescence period. Meaning that at 25 is when you can expect good and rational
Mental
decisions
maturity, yeah.
and mental maturity to take or start considering to have a family. But cervical cancer, early sexual debut exposes the girls to have multiple encounters, multiple partners, great exposure to the HPV virus if they're not vaccinated to protect them. And having a child before 17 years is now having a linkage with the persistence of the HPV infection that leads to cervical cancer.
Yeah.
So that decision that we made early on for sexual activity, debut, have
Long-term implications,
yes, long-term consequences for that girl. That if she did receive the information in a timely manner, correctly, then she would have waited.
Yeah.
I personally say, and I tell young people, and they laugh, that we should not have engaged in sexual activity until we are 25. And I will continue saying it because we need to get it out there.
But see, what you're
it's
saying
not
is
not real, whatever, but
yeah.
As you said earlier, you can't turn off the hormones.
I know, but
Yeah.
they need to hear. Because their parents had a child at 14, it doesn't mean that they have to have it.
Yeah. But what you're saying, I think, is important because when people think of sexuality education, life skills, UHFLE, or sex ed, whatever they call it in the schools, whatever the parents are or the churches are fearful of, it does include exactly what you're saying. It's not telling them go out to have sex and this is how you protect yourself. It's saying here are the consequences, here's what happens with your body, here's what can happen. And I mean, imagine a 17-year-old who's informed enough to say, well, you know, when they hear the very common myth of, oh, you don't get pregnant for your first time, they will know better because they've been educated to know better and perhaps choose to wait, which is the ideal situation. But we don't get to tell people that very often, that this type of education may actually make people wait a bit longer and not have sex at 14, maybe at an older age instead.
Yeah.
But teenage pregnancy is also, you know, isn't it that if you have a child under a certain, as a teen, you're most likely to have a second one like very shortly after, so it continues?
Yes, the statistics are there. At age 25, you can be a grandmother, no?
Right.
28.
And you see, when we find a teen mom, it's a missed opportunity on the healthcare delivery system if we do not embrace that young person or that young girl and provide her with the guidance and the support to prevent another pregnancy. Right? Whenever I find a young person, 17, 18, 19 with 3, 4 kids, it's a failure of the system.
Yeah.
Right? And when we talk about, okay, yes, abstinence until you're 25, then teach me how to manage my hormones.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Teach me how to deal with everything else that is around me that is basically telling me, you know what, no, it's fancy, it's fashionable,
it's a cool
to
thing
go
to
and
do.
Right, because the music that I'm listening to right now is all about sex. All the advertisement, the clothing, everything is basically promoting sex. So equip me that I can block out all that is around me and I can focus. You know what, no, when I'm 25, then I will have sex. So we also have to be very realistic, and then how do we package the information that we're going to give to our young people, bearing in mind that they are interacting in the home, in the school, and in the society.
So, so clearly, you know, this discussion has been underscoring the point that, you know, education and early intervention makes the biggest difference, you know, regardless of, you know, how much resources and access they can, because if people don't know how to use it or how to manage, you know, their own sexual health, if they don't have the knowledge, they're not going to be able to implement it and make the proper decisions. So, you know, based on the statistics and based on, you know, all the work that all the various agencies have been doing, what's the outlook then for Belize and the future? Are we optimistic that we can lower these rates and that we can provide better services to people based on how things are going now?
I personally believe, yes. It will not be the easiest climb. We have to pick up the pace of what we're doing, but we do have to commend the government of Belize and the civil society organizations for the work that has already been done to date. But we have to start looking at this as a matter of urgency.
Absolutely.
We cannot any longer, you know, move at a slow pace and think that we have time. We are running out of time and we are failing our young people tremendously. When I consider where we fit into the global context, looking at the rate of adolescent pregnancy and what it is now globally, according to the State of World Population Report, it is 44. For Belize, we're at 74.
Wow.
So it speaks volumes about where we are as we compare ourselves to other countries. You know,
almost double the global rate.
So we have a long way to go, and it does not have to be this way. So we need to correct it, because there are some cases of young people who have gotten pregnant and have still managed to achieve in their lives. So what differentiates them from the others? If you talk to them, you will find out that they had a support system, that somebody in the healthcare system got them at the right time. So how do we ensure that our young persons not only have access to the service, but they would get the same good quality service regardless of where they live, who they are, their ages, wherever they are in the country? How do we ensure that they get the same information and the same services available to make sure that they all have the same chance?
Marlene, on Tuesday, a member of the audience at the panel discussion and the launch of the report shared that she has been working with a group of young girls looking at economic empowerment. And she had asked them the question, what has been their greatest achievement so far? And remember, she shared that for those girls who were there who have already had a child, they saw that as their greatest achievement, being able to have a child. And after the discussion, she and I had a discussion. And I said, you know what? For those young ladies, maybe that's the only thing they feel they can ever earn in life, or the only thing that they can call their very own. So even in those circumstances, how do we work with these young girls and change that mentality, because for them that's an accomplishment. Having a child, they haven't sat down and think, okay, now I have the child, so now what am I going to do with this child? I'll be responsible for this child until he or she is 18. They don't have that capacity to look all the way down to that, you know. So when we look at, you know, the whole, how do we address adolescent pregnancy and its impact on national development, its impact on child abuse. Because imagine 16 and you have your other friends going to CASE or whoever, and you have to sit down and mind and take care of a baby, and you want to be out there. If that baby just starts crying, it doesn't matter, you're hitting because you're frustrated, especially if there's no support. You know, so teen pregnancy comes with
all kinds of implications.
Yes. And we have to change the language. We have to be honest and stop being so hypocritical about the conversation. And we must not be afraid of bringing young people to the table. Because at the end of the day, they already feel that they are cleaning up the mess that we as adults left behind. So how do we say, okay, take responsibility for the mess that we've created and say, how do we move forward? And so for that, I'm very optimistic because of the number of young persons who are engaged today and who are not afraid of speaking out. And the efforts that are global efforts that are being made to make sure that young people are at the table. The statistics are showing that the world has never had so many young people as we do today. It's the largest population of young people this world has ever seen. And so therefore we cannot leave the majority of the population behind. We have to move along with them. So for that, I'm very optimistic of the spaces, because we've created spaces for engagement of young people.
Yeah, we have 88,000 adolescents in Belize. And there are opportunities for education to adolescents when it comes to sexuality and reproductive health. And for parents, encourage them to talk to their children and be open to bring them to receive the services. And if they are not comfortable in talking with them, make much of the opportunities. BFLA doors are open, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education. If they have any doubt of the content that the children are carrying home,
you can go
they can go to the school and talk with the teachers and get more information and be a part of these meetings in the schools where they can address these issues also.
And even the parenting, with being spearheaded by NCFC and the COMPAR, the new parenting manual, and there will be
very thorough,
and so there will be quite a lot of activities at the community level, teaching parenting. So I want to encourage parents, because most times you see only women at these sessions, but males are a parent as well. So I really want to encourage persons, it doesn't matter what's your profession, it doesn't matter, even at tertiary, your doctorate and all that. We all need parenting skills. So whenever the parenting sessions are in your location, I want to encourage everybody.
Go on out. There is something new to learn all the time.
And I like how Mrs. Barrow packaged the information to the young people. That the information is not giving them green light to do A, B, and C. is for them to be strong
Yep.
and to have the information on time.
To be more informed to make
Yes.
the best decision for them.
But Marlene, in all of this, we must remember that there are those persons with disabilities. We have to consider those with mental health issues.
That's right.
We have to consider those who are elderly and rural women and indigenous persons who are also even further behind. So we must consider, and we must all help.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in and
there's a
talking.
role for the media.
And, and thank you for coming in and telling us about the progress you've made, and most importantly, the unfinished business that we have to settle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to BEC about their upcoming auto show. So please stay tuned. And we're back, and we're moving into our second segment for today as we find out all about what's happening with the upcoming auto show from Belize Estate and Company. It's going to be this Saturday, and it's going to be at Map Street. And we have with us on set Ellis Sanchez, who is the sales supervisor, and Derek Morgan, who is the marketing manager, and they're going to be telling us all about the deals that we have to take advantage of, right?
That's right.
Okay, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Belize.
All right. So you've had, I think most auto companies work towards putting together a successful auto show. And I want to ask from your perspective, how do you know this is the right time for people to get a brand new car?
Well, there's never a wrong time, Marlene. We have to be cognizant that the Belizean market and the Belizean purchasing power is rapidly changing, and there are more people who can afford a new vehicle. So we at BEC are trying to position ourselves in a way to be at the top of the line when people think about new vehicles. You know, the financing opportunities that exist today that didn't exist 5-10 years ago makes it very, very possible for most working class Belizeans to afford a new vehicle.
Yeah. And I know we say it every time, but it still is important. Sometimes some people have a barrier. They may actually be able to afford a brand new car, but they don't know. Talk to us about how you try to get that message out to people that the investment in a brand new car is worthwhile because of whatever benefits it brings.
Right. Well, the cost of ownership of a new vehicle is the primary reason that we would tell them to come in and talk to us and buy a new vehicle. Most persons look out there and they go for used vehicles off the used vehicle market. Sometimes those are imported. They could be crash vehicles and so forth. When you come to BEC, you know you're guaranteed that it's going to be a new vehicle. So the life expectancy of that vehicle is a lot longer. The wear and tear is a lot slower on it because, of course, the aesthetics and everything is fresh. It's fresh off the market. Nobody has driven that vehicle for 1,000 miles or has run into a lamppost or anything to that effect. So the cost of ownership is really all the way down there. And of course, with our servicing policy that we ask you to bring the vehicle every time that it's over the 5,000 kilometers for our trained technicians to go ahead and diagnose that vehicle, make sure that your oils is checked, your brakes and everything. That increases the life expectancy of the vehicle as well. So they want us to get a new one.
And just to add a little bit to what Ellis said, a lot of people are of the mindset that, well, I can't afford a new vehicle, so I'll buy a used one. But when you do the price comparison for a newer used vehicle, let's use that term, and you compare it to a new vehicle, the difference is not that significant, you know. So we want to dispel the myth that I can't afford a new vehicle. You know, come in, talk to us. Let us put you in contact with our partner financial institutions and see what's there that can be worked out for you.
Yeah, because we're also looking at vehicles in a range of prices as well.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think also one of the things I think about is that a newer model vehicle is more fuel efficient, so you're usually paying less in gas. Secondly, if I buy a used vehicle, I don't know what problems I'm going to have in 3 months or 6 months versus a brand new vehicle where that's not going to be the case.
Exactly.
Is that so?
That is true. I mean, that speaks to the point of cost of ownership that Ellis brought up just a short while ago. When you look at the lifetime of a vehicle, you have to try to calculate what is it going to cost me to own this vehicle for 5 years or for 7 years. And if you have a vehicle that's used that has wear and tear on it already, the deterioration is more rapid, then your maintenance cost goes up. Your cost of fuel, as you rightly pointed out, goes up. So it ends up costing you more. So that let's say $4,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 saving that you made is eaten up by maintenance of the vehicle. And then when it comes to the point of you selling that vehicle and putting yourself in a new vehicle, the resale value of a new vehicle is always higher than that of a used vehicle. So these are real considerations that every purchaser should keep in mind when they're purchasing. Mind you, I'm not saying that if you want to purchase a used vehicle, something is wrong with you. No, by no means.
No.
But we want to get into the Belizean psyche that you do your due diligence and make sure that what you're purchasing works for you, and it works for you for the medium term at least.
Yeah.
And we're talking about quality of, the new cars and the cars that people buy, and also the servicing that BEC offers. So how do you find your customers, the response has been from the customer? Do you find that they're overall very satisfied with, the vehicles that they've gotten?
Yeah, well, when it comes to the servicing aspect, we pride ourselves on the get and keep customer aspect of doing business. And a big part of keeping our customers is the servicing that we offer. Whenever your vehicle comes into service at BEC, it's not just a matter of going and changing your oil and changing your filters. Our service associates do a full check on your vehicle, and they tell you, listen, we did a 27-point multi-point inspection on your vehicle. These are the things you need to address now. These are the things that you might want to address in the next month, because if you don't, then it's going to cost you more. And then give you, the customer, the choice of how you want to go about the maintenance of your vehicle. It's not just come in and get you out. And I've heard people talk about, I listened to or watched a back and forth on Facebook about servicing at another service provider versus BEC, and the person that went to the other service provider was simply talking about how fast he gets in and out. Yes, that might be good, but are they missing something?
How detailed
how detailed is it? That's the difference, and that's where we try to build that relationship with our customers.
Yeah. Now, how have you found the market in terms of people looking for brand new vehicles, and what seems to be the best sellers?
Well, the market is different in terms of the demographics. Persons of different age, they want the lower vehicles, not a high truck. Young persons want the glitz and the glamour, so they go for the vehicle that is pimped out, so to speak, with the sound system,
heated
the nice
seats,
heated seats, cooling seats. Then, of course, there are the persons who would go for fleet vehicles. Okay. But the most popular one right now is the Ford Ranger. And of course, the truck is...
Isn't that always your bestseller? Ford Ranger is just...
Flagship. Yeah. Flagship.
The Ranger is the best seller right now, and it's a nice truck. I mean, I would want to get you into one of them, Arlene, so that you can see. So come down to the car show and sit in one and take a picture, and then, sooner or later you come and talk to the bank, and we can get you driving off in that vehicle.
You can be an influencer
I
for
would be
BC.
dangerous in that. I gotta be honest with myself.
And the best thing of it, of course, the trucks, they're more durable, and of course, Belize City, Belize on a whole, because we're talking countrywide, doesn't have the best streets. So you drop in a pothole, you might feel a little bouncing, but you continue on your way and you'll be fine.
All right. Now, the current model of the Ford Ranger, what is it now? It's the Wildtrak?
Well, there's different models,
Okay.
and BC has an array of different trim packages when it comes down to these Ford Rangers. They start from the base commercial Ranger, which is just a basic truck with the metal wheels and the radio, no CD player or anything to that effect. And then they work.
That's your work truck.
Yeah, that's your work truck, but it still can be used as a family truck because it's really nice. Okay, don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
And you have the XLS that goes up from there, and those XLS come in two different versions. The 2.2 liter and the 3.2 liter, and then you work your way up to the XLTs, and then they have the 2.2 and the 3.2 liters as well. Okay. After those XLTs, then you hit over into the big guys, right? The Ford Ranger Limiteds, and those ones comes with the 5-cylinder 3.2 liters, leather seats, reverse camera, Bluetooth capability, full navigation system that actually works in Belize. I mean, persons come in and they sit in this truck, and then we show them the navigation features, and they're blown away by it actually works. And we tell them, well, we're the certified dealer. Of course, we will have a navigation system that would work in Belize. And then it takes its way up to the Ford Ranger Wildtrak, which is a more unique Ranger pickup truck, has all the aesthetics that you would want, the same capabilities, more power, more torque. And
does it look a lot different?
It looks a lot different. It actually screams at you when you look at it. And when you sit in it, the leather is plush, and it comes with the same navigation features. It's a nice truck, Marlene. You should get it on. I could see the color differentiation that we have right now matching to you.
All right. So Wild Track is top of the line for the Ford Ranger right now.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. What else do you guys have that you're going to be putting out on Saturday?
We also have the Sorento and our Kia models. We also have Picanto. We have a nice Kia Picanto right now, which is a small little car, compact car. Runs, it can take you 50 miles per 1 gallon of gas.
Wow.
Right, it's actually a 1.0 liter. Now, talking about fuel efficiency, that is top of the line. You won't get that anywhere else in a new vehicle.
Yeah.
And the price point is very, very good. You can afford that vehicle, right? We have other lines as the Kia trucks that for working professionals or those construction companies. Those are the popular ones. You don't necessarily see persons reselling those Kia trucks, the K27 or the K3000s.
The little ones
the
that we see?
K2700. Well, they have a pan. They have a pan back, and they come in the double cab or the single cab. Those are top of the line.
Quite a few of those, you're right.
Those are top of the line work trucks, and they have the tonnage capacity to carry your load and your workload.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll feature various types of models. The Sorento fully loaded, which also has the 360-degree camera. When you're in the vehicle, I mean, of course, you hit it in reverse.
A 360 camera? Why does my car need a 360 camera?
Well, when you're reversing, you will see the entire surrounding of the vehicle. It looks like as if you're looking at it from space. And the vehicle at the top of it, and anybody walks by or any vehicle you get close to, then you'll be able to see and fit in those tight spots, right? Especially for Belize City and the
you might not have
streets.
a surprise post or something.
Right.
Or garbage container.
And they come fully equipped with parking assist, so it will let you know whenever you're coming close to something or someone just walks behind you and so forth.
Yeah.
It will give you that alert as well.
You know what's the tagline for Kia?
What is?
The power to surprise. A lot of people don't look into Kia closely, but Kia has been very, very innovative over the past 5 years, and they've gotten to the point now where their SUVs, the Sorento and the Sportage, have features that are cutting edge. Most models do not have in the market.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what Ellis was saying in terms of what will be on display at the car show, we also are introducing our Renault line of vehicles. We are now the official Renault agent in Belize. We have the Renault Alaskan, the Renault Duster, and the Renault Docker, which is a utility van for companies that might do mail parcels, delivery services, or if you sell goods and you need a delivery van for around city or town, that's the best bet for you. The Renault Alaskan is a 4-door pickup in the same size category as the Ranger, but at a different price point. It's a direct competitor, for example, with the Nissan Frontier. It actually is the bigger brother of the Nissan Frontier. So it's a Nissan Frontier with more features, with a little better aesthetics, if I might say so. I'm with bias, of course.
Leave out the bias.
I think that's what we're showing right now, the Alaskan. Yeah. So it's not as boxy. It's kind of rounded out and smoother. Yeah.
I was going to ask, in terms of your customers, what do you find, maybe among potential customers and even ones in the past, do you find that people are most concerned about maybe price point, or do you have very knowledgeable people who are looking for specific features? Or is it that overall people want, the most tricked out? What types of, in general, what do you observe?
Well, it's basically mixed, as you're pointing out. We have persons who come in a vehicle who can't decide between a truck or an SUV, and we try to direct them into that line that some of the vehicles that we have, like for example a Ford Everest, it actually sits on a truck chassis, but you're getting an SUV. So the comfort features on that vehicle is a nice and soft ride with all the power as if you're in a truck, right? So when they get in it, they sit in it and they test drive. That's the one that works the wonders. But it boils down to something simple as just being able to connect that Bluetooth and play their favorite music while they're driving. That have sold a vehicle just because of the Bluetooth and the nice music that I had a customer being able to experience when they're driving. I mean, of course, imagine you're working at the offices and you're far from home, and your traveling time is about 2-3 hours, and being able to sit in a comfortable vehicle during that time and enjoy the ride. that works wonders.
I think that 360 camera will help you make some sales too. That's pretty cool.
Right.
But interesting. Coming back to your question, there are people who are price hunters.
Yeah.
And that's, I think culturally, that's the first point of interest of a lot of Belizeans. What is the price? How cheap is it? You know. But we try to sell people on value, the value proposition of owning this particular model. Of course, that's not to say that our price is out of the ballpark. Like I was telling you just now, the Alaskan that we're introducing, we have that at an introductory rate of 65,600, which is below what you would pay for a comparable truck of the same nature.
Yeah.
You know, so we want to change the mindset that I can't afford a new vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, financing is available, and the prices right now, because of the competition in the market, the prices it's a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Right.
You can pay 65 for a used model that's been
Exactly.
shipped down,
Right,
and you don't
right.
know that much about if you don't do your research. What about the cars though? Talk to me about, because those would be more affordable, right?
Right. Well, in terms of cars, I was mentioning the Kia Picanto.
Picanto.
Yes, the Picanto is a small little compact car, and it has all the features, reverse camera, the Bluetooth capabilities as well. So don't worry, Marilyn, you won't be able to crash into a post if you're reversing in a close spot. And that's the one that has the 50 miles per gallon, because it's a 1 liter. And then we have the Kia Rios as well too. And the price for the Picanto is a new car, and it's only at 43,000.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, somebody can afford that
Definitely.
car, and the mileage that you would get on it, the cost of ownership, you would definitely want to look at it, and it has enough room for luggage space as well too. So don't think that I think we sent pictures. And they should be showing
we
a
got it
red
up.
one. Right. So it's a nice compact car that we have to offer, and we carry different models as well too. If you bounce up from cars and SUV, we also have vans, the Kia Carnivals, right, which are 10-seaters. So if you want, persons can do tours in those or run a taxi services. That is also available too.
What are going to be the options for financing come Saturday?
Well, we have been partnering with Scotiabank for end of model year sale on two featured Ford models, which are the Ford Rangers, all Ford Rangers, and the Ford Escape, EcoSport, sorry.
Yeah.
But if you don't work with Scotiabank, you work with another bank, we are also open to those options as well. You come with your own financing. We put you in a vehicle. We work with you, speak with us. If there are any discounts, any incentives to be had, we'll make sure you have them, because we want to get you in a vehicle. Just to touch a little bit more on the car show this Saturday, it will be held at the tavern, in the tavern parking lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Of course, when you're at the tavern, you have to think about food. Chef Janine and the manager Rosemary have a special menu prepared for all visitors to the car show, which will feature black and tang fish sticks. Right? These are things that are not on the tavern menu, special for the day.
I'm guessing the drink that will go with that. It seems pretty no-brainer. Go ahead.
Yeah, and of course there will be the usual tavern favorites like your mini burgers, and there will be Belikin drink specials as well. So there is no reason that you should not come to the car show. There's food, there's drink, of course they're the best line of motor vehicles available in Belize.
And we're also airing a promotion, right, for Ford owners. What can your Ford do for you by doing a video and showing us what your Ford has? That's a competition, and you'll be able to win 2 free oil change this Saturday. So those Ford owners, go ahead and get those videos out and show us if you're climbing a mountain and you're on sideways.
All legal things.
Legal things.
That's a disclaimer.
We're not talking about racing, drag racing.
Right. Legal. Because we have customers and they have expressed to us their Ford experience. I had one customer who showed us while he was driving through a road going down south, and the road got flooded, and his window top was here and the water was here, and he kept on going.
Wow.
Things like that we want persons to get an experience and publicize. So get those videos in, get those pictures in of what your Ford can do, and get a chance to win your 2 free oil services with BC.
And in rounding it all up, BC offers servicing, the sale of brand new cars, and you also have a fleet of previously owned, right?
Yes, we do sell certified pre-owned vehicles, primarily from the Kia and the Ford lines.
So you can definitely find what you're looking for.
Of course.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for coming in. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you for having us.
You'll get the option for a great deal and a brand new car, good food, and nice drinks.
That's right. See you there.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and take that break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Galen University talking about their brand new programs. So please stay tuned.
welcome back to Open Your Eyes. If you're joining us now, we are here with representatives from Galen University. They're going to be talking to us about their new programs. So joining us now is Dr. Dorian Barrow, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Education from the university. Also Monica Mansour, who is a Student Service Officer and a Counselor from the university, and also Travis Lennon, who is a Marketing Director. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
So we have a lot of exciting new programs and opportunities going on at Galen University right now. What spurred, let's say, decision to create all these new programs?
Well, first of all, we're a small, independent, tuition-driven university, and so we have to really have our ears on the ground in terms of the needs. What are the needs? What are the private sector needs? What are the public sector needs? Because we work with both of them, and what is the general need in terms of the sustainable development of the country. So we develop programs to try and respond specifically to that. For example, one of the latest programs that we have developed that we're going to be launching very soon is a program in leadership. Leadership. It's a postgraduate diploma or a master's degree in leadership. The postgraduate diploma part of it is the focus is more on educational leadership. And with that, we're working specifically with the Ministry of Education, who have identified that as an area of concern. They want to know and want to be able to provide their personnel with the knowledge, skills, and competences in order to lead our education system effectively. Right? Other new programs include our programs in hospitality and tourism management. And again, that is responding to the the fastest growing sector in the country. We launched that program in September, and the response has been excellent. We have also started a program in veterinary technology, right? Veterinary technology. And that came out of a need, economic need. The country, as you know, is trying to sell things, sell products, particularly agricultural products all over the world. Just recently, we heard of a team going to the Middle East to try and sell things. Ice cream, I understand, is now being sold to Dubai and those kinds of things. The veterinary technology program helps in terms of we being able to export agricultural products, particularly livestock products. We're seeking to try and sell more beef and hogs and goats to the region and the world.
So animal health becomes a priority.
That's right, because these products cannot be exported unless, of course, they meet certain standards. Particularly the standards that is set by the United States. And so the veterinary technology program is specifically designed to assist the agricultural sector in terms of their productivity.
Nice. You know, it's interesting when you mention things, or you put it into perspective as you just did with the veterinary technology and even the leadership, because we don't often think of how people may have moved up in an organization and have experience, but not the skills to lead. And it can definitely transform institutions when you do have the right leadership. Are you looking, being able to create the new program is one thing, but how do you market it out so people know? And also build the connections, because they'll say, oh, well, I don't know if I want to take care of dogs, so should I really pursue veterinary studies? But really and truly, there may be a larger market for you after you've completed your course. How do you make that connection?
Well, we do that by exactly what Dr. Barrow had mentioned, you know, and going in detail as to what your development will be and what your gains will be, the added benefits from studying a particular program, right? And so we know that we're a private institution, and so being accessible is not always the easiest thing, and so we're implementing ways in which we could make our university much more accessible to the broader community, right? And so we focus highly on academic excellence.
Mhm.
And when I say academic excellence, we don't necessarily mean that you're shooting for an A,
Mhm.
right? We want students to be the best version of themselves academically. And so people would say, but I'm an A student. But I'm not interested in you being an A student. I'm interested in you learning and being able to apply what you've learned back into the community. And so their development, both professionally and academically, is very important. And another huge feather in our cap is that we're internationally recognized, right? And so a lot of people ask questions as to, can I further my education after I leave Galen University?
Yeah.
Are my credits easily transferred into these other institutions?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. We recently had a student who just had a full scholarship to study at Bridgewater State University, doing the education program, right? And so while students may want to opt to do a full 4-year degree, right, and then do a graduate degree outside, that is a possibility.
Yeah.
And we've developed relationships with Canada via the ELAP scholarships as well. And we have currently about 4 of our students who are in Canada doing a semester abroad. And so that's just broadening their knowledge of the world, right?
Yeah.
And their different experiences, cross-cultural experiences. And so that's very important, you know, and we want people out there to know that, that these are the edges, right? And these are the added benefits that Galen University affords you. But accessing us financially, it's a huge topic. How do you gain access financially to study at Galen? We've took it upon ourselves now to say, listen, we provide students with the opportunity, or parents who are most often the guarantors, right? And so you're able to pay in installments, no interest added, right? And so if your semester tuition is this certain amount, you get the opportunity to say, this is how I can pay it monthly, right?
Yeah.
Or bi-weekly,
Wow.
right? And so then it becomes more affordable because it's more in smaller portions. It's not this full-blown amount upfront you have to pay. And also we've added now our new low-interest student loan, all right? No collateral needed, right? And so that is huge, right? So it's now accessible. Students just need to have 2 guarantors. That's all we're asking. If you're employed and you're in one of our online programs because you work, obviously, then you are a guarantor, all right? So you only need 1 more.
Okay.
All right, and so then we also have our scholarships available as well, which is our Academic Excellence Scholarship,
Yeah.
our Professional Scholarship, and our Athletic Scholarship. And so when we're talking about student development, students within these programs, because they're working, they're giving back to the university in the various departments, they're able to say, hey, to the employer, I've gained 2 years experience in the marketing department. I'm a marketing major. Now, I'm a bit more marketable because I have some experience. Every employer is asking, do you have any experience? And even if you could just say on your resume, I have 1 year experience doing this within the university, it then adds value to that student, all right? And when they graduate,
So you have several models. You could do online. I know you have the mixed component too, where you can do both online, but you also have your campus life.
Yes.
And that's what I want to ask Monica about, because you are head of student services, right?
Yes, yes.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so the approach that I take with student affairs at Galen University focuses on the learning that they have outside of the classroom. In the classroom, they get their theory knowledge, but they also develop outside. So we ensure that we are supporting them for their success. So 2 examples are their transition. Most of our students come from junior college, but we also have students from high school. So that can be a very big transition, you know, to the university life, getting used to the academic culture, but also the academic standards that they will be encountering at university. Not only getting them to the university, but also helping them persist. You know, it's not only about starting their educational journey, but it's about supporting them so that they can follow through up until graduation. And the way how we accomplish this is through the different resources that we have on campus. So we have our Success Center, which focuses on our tutoring, the Writing Center. I'm the counselor, so we offer in-house counseling because we also want them to focus on their mental health. That is very important for them to be able to balance all their commitments and these academic standards. And we also do educational programming. So some of things that we focus on are, the other day we had the flag raising ceremony to commence the celebrations, our September celebrations. The other day we celebrated World Mental Health Day, so we partnered with Ministry of Health and they came to give a suicide prevention workshop. We will be having a drug and alcohol awareness day, and we're also planning a health and wellness day. So through these programs, we are focusing on the values of adding quantitative value to our graduates, which will be what separates them from other graduates out there. You know, these values that we focus on include being ethical, professional, a lifelong learner, which is one of our mottos, ethically, socially, and environmentally responsible. So that is what differentiates them out there, right? They're going to be unique graduates that will positively contribute to our community. So that is kind of what stands out, you know, from the rest.
And you've been around long enough to see the success of your graduates already. Tell me about what that's like.
That has been amazing for us. I have a specific stats that I'd like to share.
Tell us.
Where we've seen our students who had applied into the Central Bank of Belize had 11 posts available over this past summer. And of that 11, 6 of our graduates received full-time jobs.
Nice.
Right? 6 of 11. And so that says something about our university. It says something about the needs and the wants of the public and private sector in this country. And we even have employers who would seek our graduates would send us an email, hi, do you have any referrals? And so that's very huge for us, right? And so while we want students to know and understand that, hey, if you come to Galen University, chances are high that you won't be out without a job for 6 months, 7 months, right? Actually, with our internship program, students oftentimes receive jobs before graduating. And so that is really, really big.
That's a good sign. Yeah. Yeah. You were going to say?
No, I was just going to add to that and say that, the design that we have, curriculum design that we have is based on needs. For example, when we were developing the veterinary science program, we actually got in contact with the sector. We went back to Spanish Lookout to talk to the Mennonites, for example, who are big agricultural producers, and find out what exactly are their needs. And the veterinary science was one of the needs identified. And so we designed that program to respond to that particular need. So the transition from school to work becomes a lot easier through that. It's the same thing for the leadership program. For example, the Ministry of Education is concerned about the leadership in our schools. And they have articulated that concern in a very structured way. And so in responding to that particular need, we have designed a particular program in educational education.
And I was also going to ask both Dr. Barrow and Monica, in terms of the feedback that you get, what type of feedback do you get from students who want to participate in the new programs? And also, is it also something at Galen where perhaps students will come to, perhaps the counselor or perhaps, the faculty and say, this is what's going on in my community, this is what I'm interested in, how can we develop programs or something? Do we also get that type of feedback from the current students?
We do. As a matter of fact, our students are one of our biggest recruiters when they go and spread the word to their friends. So students are normally a part of our recruitment team where they talk about their experience there. In terms of what life is like and how we support them to succeed, right? The retention is an issue and how we support them through our financial services to also meet this. So that at the end they can go out and buy one of these fancy cars that I understand advertise because they have a job, that is.
And it directly relates with the work that I do, because under my department, we also have the student government, which is kind of the voice of the students as well. So we incorporate those times that we can meet with the students, because again, we're trying to get their feedback on what their needs are and what, not only of new programs, but how we can continue to better what we're already doing, the services, because again, one of our values is that we're student focused. We want to make sure that we are hearing them and we can pass along that to those who are seated at the table.
Let's talk about some of your other popular programs that you have.
Well, we have a total of 15 programs, and we're going to be launching this new one, which is a 16th program, the 16th program. This one in leadership. The popular ones, well, it has probably the most popular one.
You can't say education first.
I'm tempted, but I won't. We have programs in accounting, and again, in responding to the need, that program started out as a face-to-face program.
Yeah.
And because there were many people who actually have jobs, who are working in accounting units in various businesses all over the country, the need became, and this was coming from them, that we would want a program that's online. So we now have 2 programs in that. It's the same in terms in computer science.
Yeah.
Computer science is one of our big programs, and we have a face-to-face program and we have an online program. So that is one of the ways in which how we're responding to the needs of the country, and the needs of the particularly of business sector, to provide them with the personnel who have the type of competencies specifically required for their business to succeed also.
And we, adding to that, we try to tell and make the public and potential students aware that if you're going to choose an option to study online, because many people say, I am a face-to-face person, you know, I am more tangible, I think seeing the lecturer in front of me, you know, and having that one-on-one. And I tell them, hey, the online is just virtual, but it is a classroom, right?
Yeah.
And so the mode in which we use, which is Blackboard Collaborate, allows you, it's very interactive.
Yeah.
So it allows the features, just as if you're in a classroom, you click off a button, you raise your hand. If you want to answer a question, if you want to make a comment, you can be placed into groups as well, right?
Yeah.
So being placed into groups, just as if though you're in a classroom, the lecturer cannot hear what you're saying, just within that group, then he or she could just tap in and check on you to see how your progress is, etc. But the feel and the flexibility that offers people is tremendous, because being able to hold a full-time job and study online, right? And also for those who may have to travel and leave where they live, right? Leave their families to go to a campus to do full-time study, then the online feature then allows for all of that to just disseminate, right? You don't have to leave your families, you don't have to pay traveling expense, you don't have to pay lodging expense, you just focus on the online.
Yeah, and it's far more accessible to get online now than it used to be. You have your main campus in Cayo, and then you have learning centers, I think, around the country.
Yes.
Those are where?
We have 10 locations, and we have a location in all districts.
Okay.
Countrywide, including Kikaka and San Pedro.
Excellent.
Right. And so for students who are online, for example, if an examination or a test is not built within the Moodle system online, then you have access to visit our centers to do and sit those tests and exams, which is right in your community.
Yeah.
All right. So you still don't have to travel all the way to Cayo if you're in Corozal.
Are most of your programs accessible online?
We have I right about now it's about half of it.
Okay.
Right. So we do have those traditional ones. For example, like the anthropology, environmental science, and then we have entrepreneurship, economics. Those are done on campus.
Okay.
Right. And so we're looking at the accountants, the business administration, criminal justice, right? The veterinary science, and then we have both education programs that are fully online.
Yeah, okay. Now, the application period, when can people apply?
Well, we have opened the application period for over about a month and a half now. That period closes at the end of November. All right, so we're urging people to send those applications in.
Yeah.
All right, we know the trend is just before the deadline, right? We see the wave coming in, right? So we're still optimistic. It has been good. I have been traveling around the country to do recruitment, along with my team, and so those have been successful thus far, and so we're hoping that to continue that over the next month, all right, and hoping to see if we could grow the university.
How can people take advantage of your scholarships?
Well, the scholarships anybody could apply for a scholarship. But we have specific criteria that you need to meet.
Okay.
And so if you're going to apply for an academic scholarship, you need to have at least a 3.5 GPA.
Okay.
All right. If you're going to apply for the professional scholarship, you have to have at least a 3.0. All right. And even the athletes are held at a really high standard at a 2.8. And so we've seen that that our athletes together, right, cumulatively, had a GPA last semester of, I think, a 3.1, which says a lot.
That's pretty good.
Right, about what Coach Starr is doing with that program, and you know, ensuring that students are going to class but still holding their end of the bargain on and off the field.
Okay. All right. What else do we need to know about upcoming school year or start of the semester for Galen University?
Well, first of all, we admit students at 3 points in the year. So you could start in September, and those who plan on doing that are already in.
Yeah.
Our next entry point is January, and that was what Travis was making reference to when he said that the application period for that is going to end the end of November. But then the other period that you could start is also in May. So you could start at any of those points, depending on which one is most convenient for you. Right, and
the most traffic is in September, obviously.
Yes, that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Biggest.
Okay. And how do people get in touch?
They could visit us online. We have an apply now option on our website. You could also email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz, or they could call us on the telephone lines.
And our Facebook page too.
Which has been very popular over the past, and I've realized that digital marketing is huge.
Yeah.
All right, and so being out there in the social media world and interacting with people on Facebook, answering messages, it's a full-time job in itself. Right?
Yes, it is.
And it has been excellent. So
nobody wants to pick up the phone; they want to send a message on Facebook, right?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in, and we hope that people who have perhaps been on the fence about furthering their education have heard about your new programs or your financial assistance and take the leap.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you very much for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take that final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned.
Our country.
This season of KTV Latino, you can vote for your favorite contestant by using your Digiphone or your smartphone. Digi users will text only the contestant's number and send to 5888. Each text sent is equal to 1 vote, so text as many times as you want. Smart users will text the number of votes followed by a space, then the contestant's number and send to 5885. Here are this week's contestants.
No sé si vuelva a verte después, no sé.
Y nadie lo buscaba, y nadie lo planeó así.
Oh, mujeres tan divinas, no queda otro camino que adorarla.
No llega el olvido, y por más que intento, mi mente no te olvida.
Que gano con decir que un hombre cambió mi suerte. Se burlarán de mí, que nadie sepa mi sufrir.
Mujer tan bella y yo con una botella me dejaré fácil con la cara estella.
Remember, voting ends on Sunday at midnight. KTV Latino Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
KTV Latino.
And we're back.
I know. Another great show today.
Yeah.
Some really interesting conversations.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, our first topic talking with people from the UNFPA, talking about all they're doing to educate and provide resources in the area of reproductive health.
Yeah.
It's an extremely important conversation when we look at, you know, statistics, you know, teenage pregnancy and unwanted pregnancies in general. I mean, it's such a big issue that's affecting our country.
You know, I think what really made my stomach sink this morning was when they gave us the comparison of adolescent pregnancy, which is teenage pregnancy, where the rest of the world is able to get down to 44. We're at 74.
Yeah.
And I think that we just have to be really honest with ourselves about what implications that's having on our society and what we need to do to change it. You know, I never knew how lucky I was to be in high school and have gotten all the information that we got. And it was a Catholic school, you know. I think that I never knew how lucky I was until I realized that most young people are not getting this information.
Yeah, and we, in Belize especially, we have such a young population. I think over 50% of our population is under the age of 25, and we have such a high growth rate. So getting the correct information out there is, you know, extremely significant as we look forward to the development of the country in the future.
Absolutely. So as they said, they have some unfinished business, and I think collectively we need to start thinking of doing our own part as well.
Yep.
We also want to say thank you to BEC for stopping in, giving us the details on some of the cars that'll be available at their auto show. Remember, that takes place this Saturday at the tavern parking lot. There'll be food specials, there'll be cold drinks, but most importantly, you'll be able to check out their fleet and what's available for sale.
Yep. There's going to be cars for all different price points.
Yeah.
Everybody has their different budget, different needs. Whether you need a truck, a car, SUV, van, it's all going to be there. And finally, we'd like to say thank you to the people from Galen University who came to talk to us about their new programs. They're offering things like veterinary care, tourism, hospitality, a whole lot of new things that, you know, service needs that are growing in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they are currently taking application for the start of the new semester in January. So you can find them online at their website, find them on Facebook. They say they're very responsive on social media as well to answer any of your questions. They also have financing available, scholarships available. Don't lose the opportunity. If you've been thinking about it, just go ahead and do it. Contact them and see how you can find your way to continue your education, right? But that's all the time we have for today. Remember, if you want to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE Belize. Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart
open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.